Okay, this isn't a happy story?
No, this isn't a happy story.
Oh, is this the story about the bone factory?
No, the guy who got all the big amount of money from us.
Oh.
I received a telephone call from Dr. Seibold, the president of the mission in Raipur, and we were in Tilda, 30 miles out of Raipur. And Dr. Seibold said, "Bill, there's a family sitting on their in this Raipur station who needs to come to the hospital. His wife, he claimed his wife has a broken back, and he needs attention. Would you? I'm putting him on the train. Would you go and pick them up and get them to the hospital?" I said, "Sure." So I went to the station when the passenger train came in.
How far is it from Raipur to Tilda
About 30
by
miles.
train? About 30 miles?
Two railway stations.
Mm.
And I went there with the Jeep truck, and I went them at the train. They were in second class, and I jumped up into the carriage, and there she was lying on the bench. I picked her up and carried her down onto the platform, and carried her over to the car and put her in the truck, and I never put the two things together, that she had a broken back, and
And you were carrying her
I was
around?
carrying her around.
And she wasn't
She wasn't on
screaming
a
or
stretcher. And anyway, this was in the evening. It happened just about dinner time, actually, I think. And we put him into the pay ward. He was obviously a well-to-do man. Well, he had two children and Aya with him.
And he was a suit bootwala. I mean, he was wearing Western clothes, not
Oh yes, oh,
not
yes,
a dhoti
oh,
or
yes, oh,
yeah.
yes. And he said he wanted to come over and talk to me. I said something about okay after dinner or something like that. He came over after dinner, and he sat there in the front room with me, and told me what he needed. He was an airplane pilot from Singapore, and here is his pilot's license, picture, all the official chops on the pages, and his visa, his passport, and he was stationed in Calicut, way down south of Goa, on the western coast of India. He was stationed down there, and he had to get down there. His vacation was finished, and he had to get down there, and he was out of money, and he needed cash to get down there, and for some reason or another, I didn't question his medical needs. I wasn't a doctor. Ted Fireman was there at the time, and I remember asking what Ted thought about it, and Ted said, "Well, if you feel it's necessary, go ahead and do it. Give him money from the hospital money." I was in charge. I was the business manager of the hospital, and I had the key to the safe. Every day I was counting the money. I was taking care of the cash. And he said, "I'll give you my, I'll repay you my first salary I get. I'll repay you the amount." And we figured out what he needed. I think we figured something like he needed something like 2,000 rupees to get down there with all his family, and
That was a lot of money.
in those days, you better believe it. This was back in the early 50s, maybe 53, 54, somewhere in there, and my folks are already left, I think.
Takes up being 54.
Yeah, if Uncle Ted was there, they were gone.
Ted was there.
Yeah.
And I called Andrew Simon, who was the chief clerk there that evening, and Andrew wrote up the receipt for him, and got the stamp, and got his fingerprint over the stamp, his signature, which was official. and I gave him the money, and by morning he was gone with his family.
With the kids in the ayah.
Yeah, the whole thing was gone.
And the wife with the broken back.
She was, the morning train came and he was gone, heading towards Calcutta. And, which is kind of surprising when he didn't tell us he was going.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just gone.
For good and obvious reasons.
And
Yeah.
next day or so, I received a telephone call, and I had to go to Nelra, a mile away, to the post office where the telephone was. We didn't have a telephone, but they sent a coolie from the post office to call me, to come to me. This telephone call from Karigpur, and I didn't know anybody in Karigpur, but when I got there, it was Joseph Monikraj, and his wife died, and they were
On the train?
Somehow they were crossing over. They were crossing over overpass on the railway station, and she died up there or something. I don't quite remember exactly. And now he had the problem of burying his wife and sending his ayah and the children back to Singapore to grandmother, who would take care of them while he went down to Calicut for his duty, his airplane
Pilot duty.
Pilot duty. Well, okay, I had the bear by the tail. Yes. So he was aware of a boat leaving from Calcutta to Singapore, and in a couple of days it was going to cost so much, and so I sent him another couple thousand rupees by telegraph, hospital money, and and
It's funny
and then
now.
a couple of days later, well, he missed the boat. And now his time for reporting for duty was, tomorrow, whatever it was. And he had to get his family, so they had to fly. So the airplane was going to cost so much more. And
The guy was really clever, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had such a good
He
story.
was
And,
really clever.
well, I sent him more money. And
Mother.
and that was it. He sent me more stamps with his fingerprint on them that he owed me so much money, and so we kind of forgot about him. I sent him a Christmas card to his address in Calicut, and in a month or two, that card was returned to me undeliverable.
Yeah, that's a hint, isn't it?
Yeah, that told you something.
Talk about missing the boat.
Remember me? Oh, I remember weeping. I was actually,
Yeah,
I went to that back bathroom,
yeah,
and I sat down there in the donkey,
yeah.
just weeping. And here
Comforted him. When he
So you realized when you got that card back
yeah, that
that
You've been
it
scammed.
was up that
Yeah, that it was
I'd been
so-
taken, and
because you never heard anything more from him
well,
at that
there's
point.
more story to it.
I know the more story.
Well, I went to the police. They're in the dock bungalow there at Tilda.
Yeah.
The policeman was there, and I went and reported the whole thing to him.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote it all down, and he took it very seriously. It was 400 beats.
Dar Sobis.
420 is the
Yeah.
is the
Term
legal-
for a
legal
con, yeah, a con, yeah, it's the legal code for thievery,
for
theft,
what do you call it?
Deception.
being a con artist.
Well, they have a word for it.
Okay. Absconding with cash.
Anyway, 4 or 5 months
We started
later.
paying it back.
What?
How much was the
started paying
total? Do you remember
Yeah,
the
we started
total?
paying it back.
How much was the total? Do you remember?
More than 5,000
Five,
rupees.
6,000 rupees.
Mm.
Every month, Dorothy would bring 100 rupees back,
Mm-hmm.
and we started paying it back. We weren't getting that much money ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it it was still sort of hard for the board to give us much salary. Just beyond the depression, their depression was over, but I think they were probably getting good salaries. Anyway, we were paying it back. 4 or 5 months later, I received another telegram from the police, from Nagarcoil. Now, Nagarcoil is the southernmost city in India, right on the very tip. And
Well, Kanyakumari is the
sent to
tip.
to the extent of what transaction have you had with Joseph Monikraj? We're holding him we are holding him under suspicion, something like that. Well, I wrote back, telephoned back immediately. Police in Raipur are looking for him, hold him for further information, something like that. And we learned that he had opened a hotel. Everything new, brand new furniture, brand new buttons, everything new. And this policeman was suspicious. He went in there, sat down at his new desk, and he opened the drawer and a whole bunch of papers, and he grabbed all the papers, and he found my name among the papers, and wanted to know what I had to do with him. And they telegraphed back up, come down certain date to identify him in lineup. But I didn't want to go down, of course. Down to Nagarcoil, it was a 3-day train
I was
trip.
gonna say, at least 3 or 4 days down
And back. Well, but Andrew Simon volunteered to go. He said, I'll go, I'll recognize him. So I sent him down, and I told the police that I was sending my representative who would identify him. And sure enough, he recognized him, and they brought him back up to Raipur. And I went to the Raipur jail and identified him in the police line in the Raipur jail. And I went to one court case, I think, one appearance anyway, to give my story,
Your testimony.
my testimony, and that's all I ever heard from the police. I never heard anything further. But he was jailed.
Yeah, he must have gotten
He was jailed
and sentenced and whatever.
I don't know what he got. Well, probably a couple of years.
But you never got any money back from him.
Oh, no, to get money, I would have had to have a civil suit.
That was too much.
And I didn't
Well.
want to go with the civil suit.
Well, I very distinctly remember the day that Mother took the last money back to the hospital.
Okay.
On a silver
Because
platter.
Mother had it on a silver platter. You were holding my hand. You had your hair in braids tied up on either side around the back of your head. And I was holding your hand on the right side, and you had the platter on your left side, and we walked down that path, and you were so happy. We went out the gate and down to Dad's office to pay the last of the money back. I that's one of those picture memories. I mean, you were very happy, and you were telling me how happy you were. So it was easy to remember, not one of those things I would forget. But I didn't know all the rest of those details in the middle. That's fascinating. Just fascinating.
That's part of my history.
He was pretty
Live and
good.
learn.
He had
Yeah.
a good story.
He was-
Yeah, he was a master
But,
criminal.
you got set up too by the call from Raipur
Yeah, right.
to begin with.
Well, Seibald believed the guy too.
was my boss.
Yeah, head of the mission. You do what he says.
He was deceived as well.
Right.
Yeah.
obviously.
He gave us 100 rupees.
Oh, really? Towards the
As an
repayment?
apology.
Well, that was the least he could have done. Fascinating.
Yeah, that's how things happen in India.
Oh, they did.
I guess things like that happen all over the world.
Well, they do. Now they make TV shows about them.
Well, you're making a TV show about it.
That's right. Just
We've
like
made
this
our own
TV
little
show.
TV
This would make a
show.
good TV show, wouldn't
This
it?
will make a great TV show. Maybe we can sell
We
the
can
plot.
put it on Law and Order.
Law and Order Tilda. Oh, dear.